Quarantine did, in fact, win the first map over Fire and Ice on Training Grounds 5-2. That pushed us now into Vasgar. We're all tied up 1-1. So with that being said, Fire and Ice, they're going for that domination. Choche on his last life, though, is something to pay attention to, specifically because we're only on round 3. We still have one more round for the first half. But on the other side, though, we do have Morty, who's on 0-4, as well as Rushman on 0-4 himself.
Yeah, a lot of players just throwing all kinds of respawns out there. Of course, on a map like Vasgar, it's a lot of rotating, a lot of kind of table turning, so to speak. Franchise gets the down, but isn't able to get that full kill. Numbers advantage currently favoring Fire and Ice, at least for now. Icy, the man of the match in the Pro League. I don't know if you had a chance to watch that Pro League match, Taylor, when it was Quarantine versus Rise Nation. It was round number 9, map number 3, and Icy made the play of the century to keep them alive. So he's going to be a player, especially after losing Powers, losing Kenny. He's a player that's got to step up, not only vocally, but also with his slaying power. Again, when you lose a player like Powers, the best slayer in the world, everyone else kind of has to pick up the pace a little bit more. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Icy kind of step his game up, and so far he's doing that.
On board with Rushies. Last life, just seeing how he's going to maintain it. Retro in hand, just doing some damage. But no matter, Crystallize going to push up. He gets flanked by Fiercely, and that's a bold flank. Fiercely on his last life, too. Doesn't worry about it, comes on that flank, ends up taking out Rushies. Great work on his part. And with that secure of the Bravo and Charlie Quarantine now still with the win condition, but Fire and Ice is not giving up. Fiercely gets the break onto Charlie. Is it going to be enough, though? There still needs to be a break onto Bravo. Win condition. It does, in fact, shift over. Now Quarantine has to get a break. They only have a couple of seconds left, and just like that, Fire and Ice is going to take over the third round with a 250-248 win.
King Choche refuses to go down. Always manages to put his teams in position to succeed, of course. They are going up against Quarantine, right? The back-to-back champions in Gears of War 5. But there's one thing Fire and Ice has been doing, I would say, over the last couple of months. It's just been breaking hearts. We'll see if they can do it once again in the semifinals. Still plenty of match to go, still plenty of map left. But great to see a guy like Choche just on a successful team.
And let's not mention, or you know, I know it's been a while since we did the last Emergence days, specifically before, literally a couple of days before Mexico ended up happening. But the team of Reciprocity at that time, when they were Reciprocity, they won 3 back-to-back championships, week 11, week 12, and week 13. They have 6 total championships here. And we're still looking at Franchise, Rushies, and Icy, right? The core 3 leading the way. If they win this here, that will effectively give those 3 members 4 back-to-back championships in Emergence Days and 7 total championship in Emergence Day Season 2. That's wild.
No, absolutely incredible. I do believe we've seen Fire and Ice actually beat the old Reciprocity team, I believe, 1 week in the past. I think it was.
Yes.
It might have been in the first round as
yes,
well.
It
so
was.
we know
it
that
was.
traditionally this is a pretty good matchup. We saw this matchup in Mexico City as well. It was Reciprocity who did come out on top at the major event, of course, on their way to winning that championship. And Exploits continues, Taylor, no matter who he's playing against, to make plays with both power weapons, with his shotgun. He was one of my favorite players to watch at the Mexico City major, and he's just continuing to do it no matter what map he's on.
Ooh. 1-2 punch will silence Icy. He falls. And now it's all up to Mortify, who's on his last life. Franchise on his last life, too. And Rushy on his last life. Not looking good if you're a Quarantine fan. Mortify pushing in onto B-God. That's going to be an easy kill. B-Shield picked up, Crystallized down low. Choche pushing up as well. He's going to get taken out. And that's going to be another 3 down for the side of Fire and Ice. You got a couple players spawning back up on their last life. It's going to be Choche and Fiercely. B-God and Exploits not far behind. So quickest respawns. We're now on the last round of this half, and lives are falling like crazy. And not to mention Franchise now, he's currently out. He's gone. And it's going to be a permanent 5v4 unless Fiercely or Choche ends up dying.
Looks like right now Fiercely is going to go down. But like you mentioned, Quarantine just very much down in the respawn economy, trying their best to mitigate anything they can. But Fire and Ice find themselves on all 3 hills. Solar's going to have to make a play while bouncing around. He gets stunned, but he gets hit by the knife of B-God. One last player is going to be Icy, trying his best to just buy his team as much time as possible. Gets 1, almost gets a second, but isn't able to get the touches. That's a full 5-man wipe. All players out of respawns. Fire and Ice with a definitive first half victory, 3-1.
Man, good stuff from F&I to lead 3-1. They lost the first map on Training Grounds 5-2. They need to stay alive in this tournament. They want to make finals. It's been quite some time since we've seen them in the finals. I don't believe FNI has ever won an Emergence Days. The best that they've ever done is a second place finish. And that was, in fact, on week 4 and week 5. Back-to-back, they ended up making it to grand finals. They ended up getting second place. But they've never secured a victory. And it would be a nice change of pace if they were at least coming off of Mexico after a top 16 performance, coming into Emergence Day after a roster change, to not only beat Quarantine, but also secure a victory in Emergence Day. That would solidify that the roster change has made a huge impact.
Oh, absolutely. But I like this, the weapon skin Fran was using there on that Lancer. That one looked good. A lot of cool new weapon skins I know coming out. I'm not sure. I very quickly panned over to Icy, who's rocking the American flag as usual.
Or,
you know, Icy's a big patriot.
America. Well, that would be rocking, actually. Either that or I'm not going to lie, Fire and Ice, though. I mean, they're pretty. I know that's totally different scene, LATAM scene, America versus LATAM, but they do have one of the best weapon skins in the game. Look at this, Quarantine going for the trip cap already. Nice snipe comes in up close from Exploits. It seems like he just never misses. One of the most deadly snipers in the game currently.
And Crystallize is going to go ahead and hop on that second hill. Quarantine built a small lead so far, but obviously plenty of round left to go here on Vasgar. Crystallize and Fiercely are going to make their way over now. Again, Vasgar, full of rotations, right? Constant movement. There's no such thing as a home hill. There's no such thing as a neutral hill, right? Every single hill is up for grabs for every single team. It's just a matter of the breaks, the caps, the breaks, the caps. Who can move quicker, who can hit spots quicker. And then once in a while, shoot some guns.
I mean, that's pretty much it, right? It's just a series of pushes, series of rotations, and a good hold from our man B-God. Managed to take one player out, goes for the second. It's going to be Franchise, both full red. B-God will take over that win. Drops him down, focus the attention onto Icy. I do believe Franchise did in fact go ahead and end himself. He wasn't finished off by B-God, but the result is the same. He's going to go ahead and back up. He held this hill as long as he possibly could, right? So, but now he's looking at 3 players from Quarantine pushing up, maybe potentially 4. Player number 7 rotates down, which it will in fact be Solars. But regardless though, B-God holds his own. He stays until the last second. He'll pay for it, but he gave enough time for Fiercely and Choche to push up. But unfortunately, Quarantine a little bit too strong. They're going to continue to slay out Fire and Ice. But look at Exploits with the sniper up above. You saw the flashlight coming out, and that player from Quarantine quickly ended up diving out of the way. But it doesn't matter. Look, you actually just saw in the kill feed. Nice headshot. Mortify got his head popped off. Exploits continues to line it up, and he's going to go ahead and push up close.
Franchise going to answer back with an Incend. Quarantine continue to push forward. Choche going to be caught between a few different members of this Quarantine team, and they're continuing to just move forward. You're going to see Fran and Rush playing that 2v2 so well, getting those shots in, back rolling, getting those traded shots. It's going to be 4 down, 4 Fire and Ice, and Quarantine's quickly hopping on both hills as both teams are about to cross the 200-point mark. Exploits off spawn, trying everything he can as his teammate Crystallize is trying to defend that hill. I'm not sure if Icy knows he's there, but if Icy gets that break, that's a good enough play in general.
It's going to be a heads-up play, potentially. Icy misses the utility. Crystallize trying to get that chip damage. A big battle. Crystallize managed to lock in D. Icy wins that fight. That's a big win, and that should solidify Quarantine taking over this round to bring it up 3-2. And yeah, in fact, it's going to be the case as D and F are locked in, and we're going to get to watch Exploits with the snipes. He connects, but it's going to be all in vain. Quarantine finally wins another round in the second half, and they're going to be up they're going to bring it just a little bit closer, 3-2. It's a comeback. Overall, Quarantine wins this. They will solidify their spot in the finals, and that would be a major accomplishment even after the roster changes.
Absolutely. It's a team that you expect in the finals, honestly. You look at the bracket, I would still expect it to be a Quarantine versus UIU final. Just looking at the bracket, it just always seems to be that kind of that destiny when it comes to these brackets. But right now, on the other end, Rise Nation, they're making this interesting, right? They got a 1-0 lead. They're looking to kind of kill the dream of that UIU Quarantine grudge match. There's a lot of match to go, of course, in the other semifinal right here. Quarantine looking to make, I know you have all the stats. How many grand finals would it be in a row for them?
Oh man, how many grand finals will that be? I'll let you know in a sec on that one, but I do believe that would make like Or Grand Finals wins, that would be 3 in a row. If they win this Grand Final, that'd be 4 in a row.
But what would it be just making the finals?
That's what I'm going to say. So you go ahead and call the action. I'm going to get that stat for you right away.
I'm going to go ahead and call the action, Taylor. Right now, we are on board once again with Crystallized from Rise Nation. The initial is going to be underway. A couple kills are coming through for Fire and Ice. Both Morty and Ice are going to drop the snipe once again in the hands of Exploits. 4v3 situation on the map favoring Fire and Ice. Solars knows there's not a ton he can do right there if he pushes forward. There's going to be a few different members there meeting him with the Lancer. So in typical Vasgar fashion, Quarantine's going to be off spawn, and now it's going to be time to rotate and make a hill choice.
That'll be their 10th Grand Final appearance in the 14 weeks that we've done this.
Not bad.
Their 10th appearance, and they've already won 6 of those. So the 10 times that they've made it to finals, they have won 6.
Not bad at all.
Not bad. Not a bad stat line. And by the way, the amount of majors they played in, yeah, they've won both of those too. They played in 2 Ultimate Gears 5, they won both.
You are correct. And they made a roster change.
And they made a roster change, so we'll see.
Which is a feat of its own.
Hey, just still, I can't believe that number 1 and number 2 from Mexico are no longer the same rosters. It still blows my mind. Gears scene is
I'll say you've only been here for about a year now. Just give it some time.
Yeah, well, I was involved in Call of Duty for a while, and I saw some major roster changes over there, but I don't know about the number 1 and number 2 team. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. With that being said, Fiercely from the flank onto Franchise. We'll take him out. Focus attention on the Ice. He takes him out. Don't say it'll be a third.
It's a big play coming through from
That's
Fiercely.
huge.
Fiercely is one of those players who has huge shoes to fill. We talk about, obviously, players like Solars and Morty need to fill the big shoes of Kenny and Powers. A player like Fiercely has to fill the shoes of Raver, right? Raver's looked at as kind of one of the top slayers, maybe even the top slayer right now in the LATAM region. So if he can continue to kind of make plays like that, this Fire and Ice team will continue to move forward and continue to be a contender.
DNF locked in for Fire and Ice. They just need to close away at this deficit as much as possible. Quarantine leading the way currently, but they've got to be careful. Mortify, Solar, Franchise, as well as Icy, all on 1 out of 4 with Franchise dropping. Does the finish come in? Well, no, the team pickup will happen, but that's a second. He's got to be careful. But regardless, they're going to Wolfpack ahead. Vigod breaks free. Nice push up forward. We'll take out 1. He'll get silenced, but still a good trade. D&E in place for Quarantine. We'll start gaining those points. Double fast over Fire and Ice. Franchise knows the pressure is going to be applied. This would be a huge hold as Fire and Ice will lock in E. May be able to get F in the meantime.
That's a big play for Fire and Ice. They get the break onto D. The situations where hills are being traded kind of back and forth always favors the team kind of with the neutral, favors the team with the 1. That was Quarantine. Now Fire and Ice looking to try to turn the tides. And right now, if you're Quarantine, you have a good size lead as we head towards the 220 mark. You're okay with this kind of battle with breaks and caps and breaks and caps. You just can't let them all 3 go at the same time like they are right now. Fire and Ice, great opportunity to get right back into this. Very close to closing that lead. If Quarantine does get that 1 cap, I still believe the win condition will favor Fire and Ice, and they actually still haven't even had a chance to full cap the F hill yet. So right now, Quarantine's going to have to hop on a number of hills all at the same time. Fire and Ice have somehow managed to actually take the lead. Someone's heading over to E. I do believe it's going to be Rushies. Rushies always seems to make those sneaky plays for this Quarantine team, and that play might have been the difference maker right now, but no, Fire and Ice, now they find themselves on D as well. The full cap almost comes through onto E, but if Fire and Ice is able to get this full cap onto D, that should be it. Someone's over at F. They do have the D hill, and that's going to actually end up doing it for Fire and Ice. No one in position from Quarantine, 3 members off the map. What a play coming through from F and I.
Phenomenal work, and that puts them at 4-2, 1 round away from taking over the victory of Vasgar to push us into Game 3 in Asylum. I think we're going to Game 3 not only on this Quarantine versus F&I matchup, but also a Rise versus UIU matchup. This has been an insane night. It's been a long one, but a great one to be able to cast over and just really see how these roster changes have impacted the teams. Fiercely has done such a great job on Fire and Ice. He's held his own in so many different moments. You can't forget the King Choche, who's had so many great moments himself, even going all the way back whenever they played against Hive. He was the catalyst as to why they are now in the position they are in to play against Quarantine. But this could be a crazy series of events if Quarantine loses this and pushes into Game 3 on Asylum. It's anybody's game at that point in time. Because just to remind you, Hive lost against Fire and Ice on Asylum itself in a 5-4. We think it's possible. Start us off, Fire and Ice is going to get the sniper. Crystallize will get the drop shot. But he is, in fact, going to be finished off. Sniper still in Exploit's hands. The drop shot's going to be nullified. It's not going to be used whatsoever. Quarantine's got to be careful. Any of the amount of players that they lose, other than Rushy, is going to put them down of their last life. Definitely something to think about. But Wolfpacking together does better their chances of staying alive. But they are going against 4 players from Fire and Ice who are looking to push in strong.
Yeah, we have Exploits once again. It's hard to keep the camera off him when he has that snipe. See what he can do. He has a few pieces of information. He knows where the players are. Player's going to hop over. He's not going to be able to hit that shot. See where the follow-up kills come through. Does get the down on the Mortys. Nice body shot. That's going to put Quarantine on their back foot. And the kills are starting to light up for Fire and Ice. Let's take a quick look at the respawn economy once again. Solar's going to be on his last life. Franchise going to be on his last life. On the side of Fire and Ice, a lot of players also sitting on the 1, so a lot of thin ice on both sides. No pun intended on Fire and Ice.
Yeah, I know.
A little thin ice, but no pun intended.
If only this was on Icebound 2, that would have been like the ultimate cheesy pun that you unintentionally would have made. Been a good one. Would have been a good one, Ryan. But hey, missed opportunities. It's okay. Fire and Ice, 4-2, Quarantine. It's looking like this might be it for them, at least for Vasgar, unless some miracle happens. And maybe this is the start. This is the catalyst. Fiercely Crystallized will drop. Fortunately, Choche will take out Rushies, but he will get dropped. So that's going to be 3 down to the side of Fire and Ice momentarily. Crystallized actually ended up getting picked up. Fiercely now on his last life. And as everything kind of cools down a little bit, DNF will be in the hands of Quarantine as they do go to close the deficit. But Exploits, he's going to be on that overlook position setting up. And that's going to be a main catalyst, I think, to Fire and Ice's hold here on E, if it does happen. Exploits has to hit these body shots, and unfortunately, he has to keep his head down. The Boltok as well as the Lenser Fire is going to stop his snipes in their tracks. And Quarantine's looking to make a great push here on E. And as I look, if they get this break, this could be a trip cap.
Yeah, it's possible. Push is coming through the kills. Starting to favor Quarantine. Of course, IC is permanently taken off the maps. It's going to be a tough situation, but they do have the lead. That 2 cap is going to be very helpful. Now, once again on Vasgar, we know the rotations are going to come through. It's going to be a matter of who hits the hills. Last time, Fire and Ice did a better job of hitting all the hills. Fiercely, one of those other players sitting on 0 lives, has to make sure that he makes the most of it. Franchise gets one on B-God. That's going to make a 2v1 situation not even needed. Those Solars wins the 1v1, and that's going to keep Quarantine alive in this map. Taylor refusing to go down without a fight. 4-3 here on Vasgar. Quarantine looking to finish this into a 2-0, book their ticket to the finals. On the other side, Fire and Ice trying to stretch us to a 3rd map.
And Quarantine hurt the respawn economy on Fire and Ice. Now you've got a couple players who are on 1-1, some at 2-2. Might be locking out this sniper, which wouldn't be a bad play. Yeah, snipe's going to be locked out. So Fire and Ice, right? They've been doing such a great job using the snipes, and now you're not going to be able to do so. Exploits might feel a little naked for the time being. Drop shot still in effect, as well as the Incendiary utilities. So that drop shot fight going to be that much more critical. And I'm curious to see Exploits, how he's going to be able to recuperate without his snipe. He's been using it for so many different rounds prior. Now not having it, it's going to make things a little bit more awkward. Morty does in fact push forward. He's going to pick up the drop shot, but quickly is finished off. Shock grenade is going to at least stop that line of sight or that angle of a push for Rushies.
And right when he picks up the drop, Crystallizes there for the equalization, but Quarantine still does manage to secure that power weapon. IC has Exploits pinned in a decent spot. Nice follow-up wrap shot coming through from the Iceman. 2 cap now in favor of Quarantine. They do have that drop as well, and Fiercely is going to find himself on his last life. So it'll be a huge, huge opportunity right now for Quarantine. They could push this to a round 9. Once again, all eyes on the Boltok.
Not to mention Mortify picks up the refresh on the Incend. That's going to be incredibly helpful in conjunction with the Boltok and other utility items they have, including the drop shot from Rushies. Drop shot's going to be placed. Only gets a hit marker. That's unfortunate. Goes in for round 2. Stun comes in, but doesn't matter. Rushy's still able to capitalize. Crystallize will drop. That's going to push F&I back just a little bit more. Smoke gets thrown. Franchise finds an opportunity to get behind cover, and that's going to be a quick cap of F for Quarantine. And they're going to back up and allow Fire and Ice to maybe push up and expose themselves a little bit more. And by doing so, maybe take out some of those players that are on the last lap, right? Fiercely, Crystallize, and B-God. Quarantine has set themselves up very nicely to take over this round. And despite them currently not having control of 2 hills, they're still put up quite well to potentially take out some of these players and put it into a permanent 5v4.
Yeah, I mean, these are the kind of the fights that they want to take right now. When you have a lead in the respawn economy, you're not looking to push that definitive kind of round-ending fight, right? You're looking for those trades. You're looking for the back and forth. You're looking for any way to just continue to make your opponent use those resources. And so far, Quarantine's been doing a fantastic job. Fiercely permanently off the map. On the other side, you're going to have 3 members of Quarantine who will also have the same risk. So still plenty of opportunity for Fire and Ice. And Solar's going to have that Bulltalk to watch over the E-Hill. He's going to be met by a crystallized Bulltalk. Battle of the Bulltalks is underway. Solar's going to take his shotgun right back out.
Oh.
Drop shot's going to be met. It's not going to go in favor of Fire and Ice, and now it's going to be 3 permanently off Taylor. We are surely going to a round number 9. Once again, we've had so many round 9s today.
So many. I mean, it's really reminiscent of going all the way back to week 1 and 2 of Emergence days for Season 2. It was so fun to watch because there were so many round 13s at that time, because that's where we were back in the day, round 13s, if you can imagine, and it just took forever. But so many round 9s, really we haven't seen that in quite a few weeks, so it's great to kind of bring that back, just showing these roster changes, really evening up the teams, if you will. And Quarantine has made a nice comeback, and Fire and Ice now has to be thinking like, man, what can we do differently to put this game back in favor of us? Because we were up, we were leading, we had Quarantine, we were going to force a game 3. Now Quarantine is up. With that being said, though, a lot of players 1 out of 4 lives. In fact, Rushy's the only one who's currently sitting at 2 out of 4, so got to be careful. And Choche, he's got the sniper in his hand. Let's see if he can maybe fill a role that Exploit's leaving off, and he hits the headshot. Well, it seems as if he's adjusting quite well.
King Choche continues to make plays on these round number 9. See if he can move forward. A couple members of Quarantine are going to be pressed right back there. They get the down. Rush goes for the follow. He gets 1. Crystallize. It's going to be there for the trade, but Solars does get the last lap. Now it's going to put Crystallize on his last life. Beeg on his last life. Over on Quarantine. Icy on his last life. Fran on his last life. And Mortify's on his last life. This next fight is going to be so key. This next fight could very well determine the round. Just a matter of where the fight goes down. Quarantine has the 2 cap, right? They have the advantage. Fire and Ice has a choice to make.
And Rushy's set up nicely to look at 3 players from Fire and Ice who are inevitably going to push in on E and make that 4. And he's got the drop shot in his hand. A well-placed drop shot can easily take out a couple of players. And unfortunately, the first one is going to miss. Exploits gets away with his life, so he baited out 1. Still, 1 in the chamber to use. Taking his time. E's only been neutralized. Quarantine still has that lead. There's no reason for them to push on E. Second push is going to come through, though. Will the drop shot be able to connect if he chooses to use it? But a well-placed snipe from Crystallize could make just as much of a difference. And here comes the push from Quarantine. Forced to keep their head down. Up close, though, we got a battle as B-God will take out Rushy's. Mortify is going to drop fiercely as well. Crystallize still keeping the heads down of Quarantine. Mortify is now out. He is gone, and it's a permanent 5v4 unless Quarantine can even up the odds by taking a couple of the players out. Choche on the back pedal. Now the Bulltalk up close is going to connect onto Franchise. Solars is going to drop himself. Franchise, Mortify, now out. Solars, he'll be respawning on his last life. It is now a 5v3. And once again, another player is going to drop. Rushy's, he's out. He's going to be now on his last life when he respawns back up. Fire and Ice in the driver's seat. The scoreline still favoring Quarantine, but for how long?
Yeah, you got to imagine, right? That's all she wrote. Quarantine has a huge play to make. That's a good start. Icy is trying to even out the odds. Maybe not. Maybe I spoke too soon. Quarantine now sitting at a 3v4. This is actually very doable. Icy trying his best to get involved, make a play like he made in the Pro League. He's going to unfortunately drop. Now it's up to Solars and Rush, 2 versus 4. They still actually somehow have, Taylor, 2 hills. So Fire and Ice, they need to make sure they spread their resources. They need to make sure that they win a fight on one of these hills. Rushy's with a 1 versus 2. Choche and B-God, they get the kill. The last question becomes, where is Solars? Can he get the kill in time? The answer is going to be no. Fire and Ice clutch up on round number 9. Our semifinal is going to go to a game 3.
Game 3, round 9. That makes like our 3rd round 9 of tonight.